The professional killer is a genre that audiences never seem to get tired of. You've got the straight up thrillers like the Bourne movie or Collateral. There's comedies such as Mr. and Mrs. Smith. There's the more comic book style stuff like John Wick or The Winter Soldier. There's the sci fi twists like Blade Runner. And way back in the day, Apocalypse Now, the military take on the professional killer, and the political version, The Day of the Jackal. Sure, it's a really tropey genre. In order for something to happen, the assassin has to slip up somehow. There has to be a job gone wrong. There's lots of international travel. We have to see what the demands of the job are on the assassin himself. We need some suggestion on how they got into the job. We need sequences of them assembling and disassembling weapons and running away from the authorities. The killer has lots of these, but I think it's different enough to be worth watching. Quite often we see our professional killers in nice suits, but in this movie, the central character dresses as a German tourist because, as he says, no one wants to talk to German tourists. This is absolutely Michael Fassbender's movie. Not many of the other actors are in more than 3 or 4 scenes. So the movie lives or dies on Michael Fassbender's performance as the character goes across countries and continents. And I think he pulls it off. It's even more focused on him because most of the story is told through narration. So this is a David Fincher movie, and the narration is very reminiscent of Fight Club. So Ed Norton in Fight Club sounded very tired, very frazzled, very downbeat. This is like a more professional and clinical version. So I think David Fincher is a great filmmaker. There's a certain strand of his movies that have this very cold, clinical, detached style, and The Killer is very much in that vein. Rather than getting involved in the movie, you're invited to observe it. Much like in Fight Club, much like in Gone Girl with Ben Affleck. There's something about buildings, I think, in some of his films. Lots of things are framed through windows and doorways. I'm also reminded of Zodiac. There's this really beautiful shot that pans across the doorway of a bar as Robert Downey Jr. is inside the bar blowing smoke out of his mouth. So it's very reminiscent of other Fincher movies. You're invited to watch rather than to empathize with the characters. And if you can accept this kind of level of detachment, then you'll probably enjoy the movie. The narration, which perhaps is supposed to be the character's internal monologue, I'm not really sure, slips occasionally and reveals something about the character, about his frustrations, about the extent to which he is willing to go to protect the people he does care about and who we see in the movie. So, in that respect, there are elements of the narration from Fight Club, but also of the more emotional narration from a film like Apocalypse Now. So there's just enough insecurity and humanity to actually make this a really interesting and subtle performance. And I wonder how much rewatching it would reveal more things like that. More cracks in the facade of the consummate professional that the character is trying to portray. So, overall, in some ways, this was a less substantial, a slighter movie than I was expecting, but at the same time, it really piqued my interest, and if a sequel came out, I'd definitely watch it. Thanks for watching.